Inflation is back and it's making a lot of people nervous. Prices are up, savings are worth less. And the question on everyone's mind is, what should I do with my money? For many, real estate seems like the obvious answer. But is it really a safe haven during inflation? Or are rising interest rates and high purchase prices turning it into a trap? In this video, we will break it all down. How inflation affects real estate, what happens to your mortgage, rent and asset value, and whether investing in property right now is still a smart move or a risk you should avoid. Let's get into it. Let's start with the basics. Inflation means your money buys less over time. It eats away at savings, increases costs, and forces central banks like the ECB to raise interest rates to cool things down. Now, for investors, inflation is both a threat and an opportunity. It depends on where your money is and how it's working for you. And that's where real estate comes into the picture. Historically, real estate has been seen as an inflation hedge, and for good reason. Why? Because property values often rise with inflation, rents tend to increase in line with living costs, and if you've locked in a fixed interest mortgage, your repayments stay the same, while inflation actually erodes the real value of your debt. So while inflation hurts cash and low-yield savings, real estate can actually benefit if you play it right. But of course, there is another side to the story. To fight inflation, central banks raise interest rates, and higher interest rates make mortgages more expensive. This leads to lower affordability for buyers, slower growth in property prices, or even small corrections, and in some markets, a lot of uncertainty. So yes, borrowing becomes more expensive, and the short-term impact can look negative for real estate investors. But that doesn't mean it's a bad investment. In fact, it makes it more important to buy wisely. Let's break this down with real numbers, but this time using just 10% equity. Say you buy a property for 300,000, you contribute 30,000 of your own money, that's 10%, and you finance the remaining 270 through a mortgage at a fixed interest of 3.5%. Your monthly mortgage payment is fixed over the term, meaning that your debt stays the same in nominal terms, even while everything around you becomes more expensive. Now let's factor in inflation. Say we have an average inflation of 4% per year. In 10 years, that's 270,000 of debt will still be 270,000 on paper, but in today's money, its real values are only around 182,000 euros. In other words, inflation has shrunk your debt by almost 1/3. At the same time, rents likely went up with inflation. If you're renting the property out, your income increases, but your debt stays fixed. That widening gap means improved cash flow over time. And the property itself? Even modest appreciation, say 2% per year, would make your 300,000 property worth around 365,000 euros after 10 years. So your debt has shrunk in real terms, your property has grown in value, your rental income has increased, and all of this with only 30,000 of your own capital invested. That's the power of leverage in an inflationary environment when used wisely. Now, this doesn't mean you should buy any property during inflation and expect to win. Here is what smart investors look for. Good locations, strong demand, low vacancy. Energy efficiency, because heating costs are rising fast. Solid condition. Inflation has driven up renovation costs, so avoid money pits. In other words, be picky, run the numbers, and play long term. Some investors look abroad during inflation, but be careful. Inflation may hit hard in countries like the US, UK, or other parts of Europe, and financing can be more expensive or less stable. Legal systems might offer less protection, and tax laws can eat into returns. Germany, by contrast, offers stable legal and tax frameworks, subsidies for energy-efficient homes, strong tenant demand, and yes, even with inflation, interest rates that are still historically low by international standards. So if you're based in Germany, there is no need to chase hype abroad. Opportunities are still right here. So here's my take. Yes, real estate is still a good investment during inflation, but only if you approach it with strategy, patience, and a focus on fundamentals. It's not about flipping or speculating anymore. It's about building assets that grow slowly, safely, and consistently, while inflation works for you instead of against you. If you got a long time horizon, real estate remains one of the most powerful tools to preserve wealth and generate returns, especially in uncertain times. Inflation changes the rules, but it doesn't change the goal. If you want to build real, lasting wealth, you need assets that work while prices rise. Real estate can do just that if you choose wisely. If this video helped you, hit like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Are you planning to invest during inflation or sitting on the sidelines? Thanks for watching, and remember, smart money grows quietly, even in noisy times.